Conor McGregor is finally coming back. At least, that's what the entire MMA world is starting to believe again. After years of injuries, delays, controversies, broken comeback promises, and endless rumors, a massive new report claims Conor McGregor is now close to returning to the UFC this summer. And the opponent? Max Holloway. Yeah, the same Max Holloway who fought McGregor over a decade ago before either man became global superstars. Now suddenly, one of the biggest rematches in UFC history may actually be happening. According to Reuters, discussions are intensifying for McGregor to return during UFC International Fight Week on July 11th. And if it happens, the fight could headline UFC 329 in one of the most emotionally charged comeback stories the sport has seen in years. But before fans celebrate too early, there's a problem. Because we've heard this before. Over and over and over again. Conor McGregor is coming back. Every single time, the MMA world explodes with excitement. And every single time, something goes wrong. An injury, a delay, a contract issue, another controversy, another disappearance. That's why so many fans stopped believing it would ever happen again. But this time feels different. Because now, the details are becoming very specific. A date, a location, a real opponent. And not just any opponent. Max Holloway. That changes everything. For newer UFC fans, it's hard to understand how crazy this story really is. Back in 2013, Conor McGregor and Max Holloway fought in the featherweight division long before they became legends. At the time, McGregor was the loud Irish prospect taking over the UFC with confidence and charisma. Holloway? He was still just a young Hawaiian kid trying to prove he belonged among the elite. McGregor won the fight by decision. But what nobody realized then was that both men were destined to become icons of the sport. Conor McGregor went on to become the biggest superstar MMA has ever seen. Two-division champion. Global celebrity. The face of the UFC. Meanwhile, Max Holloway evolved into one of the greatest featherweights in UFC history. A fan favorite. A warrior. A volume-striking machine who earned respect from the entire MMA world. And now, more than 10 years later, their paths may finally collide again. That's why this matchup feels so much bigger than a normal comeback fight. This isn't Conor returning against an easy opponent. This isn't a warm-up fight. This is dangerous. Very dangerous. Because Max Holloway is still one of the toughest fighters on earth. His chin, his cardio, his pace, his pressure. Most fighters break under it. And while Conor McGregor built his legacy on precision striking and explosive finishes, nobody truly knows what version of McGregor still exists today. That's the biggest mystery in MMA right now. Because Conor hasn't fought since 2021. That's a lifetime in combat sports. The last time fans saw him inside the Octagon, he was laying on the canvas with a shattered leg after losing to Dustin Poirier. One of the darkest moments of his career. Since then, McGregor's comeback has felt like a movie constantly stuck in development. Every few months, another promise appears. I'm coming back soon. But the fight never happens. And as time passed, the doubts became louder. Some fans started wondering if Conor was truly done. Not financially. Not physically. Mentally. Because at this stage of his life, McGregor doesn't need fighting anymore. He's already achieved things no fighter ever dreamed possible. Massive wealth. Fame. Businesses. Power. He became bigger than the UFC itself in many ways. Which raises the biggest question of all. Why come back now? Maybe it's legacy. Maybe it's ego. Or maybe Conor McGregor simply can't live without the chaos of fighting. That possibility is what keeps fans obsessed with him. Love him or hate him, nobody creates anticipation like McGregor. And the UFC knows that better than anyone. That's why International Fight Week makes perfect sense. The event is already the biggest celebration on the UFC calendar. Adding McGregor's return would instantly transform it into one of the biggest fight weeks ever. The pay-per-view numbers would explode. Social media would go insane. Every sports headline on earth would be talking about the UFC again. But there's another reason Holloway is such an interesting choice. Stylistically, this fight is chaos. McGregor is most dangerous early. Sharp counters. Explosive left hand. Precision timing. So the entire fight may come down to one terrifying question. Can Conor still perform at the level required to stop Holloway before the pressure overwhelms him? Because if he can't, this could become a nightmare comeback. And honestly, that's what makes the fight brilliant. There's real risk involved. For years, fans accused the UFC of protecting McGregor. But Holloway isn't protection. Holloway is a legitimate threat. A dangerous former champion who has fought the absolute best in the world for years. And unlike younger fighters, another chance to rewrite history. Another chance to beat the man who had turned it all. That pressure is enormous. And deep down, Conor knows it. Which is why Dana White's comments are so interesting. The UFC president recently said he believes McGregor will fight soon. But he stopped short of officially confirming anything. That matters. Because until contracts are signed, nothing is guaranteed in the McGregor universe. Still, this feels more real than the previous rumors. The timing, the event, the opponent, everything is aligning perfectly. And the MMA world can feel it. For now, fans are waiting for one thing only: the official announcement. Because if the UFC confirms Conor McGregor versus Max Holloway 2 for July, it instantly becomes one of the biggest fights of the year. Not just because of skill, not just because of rankings, but because of what it represents. A comeback, a rematch, a test of legacy, and maybe one final chance for Conor McGregor to prove he still belongs among the elite. So what do you think? Does Conor McGregor still have what it takes to defeat Max Holloway after all these years? Or will Holloway finally get revenge and end the comeback before it even begins? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Because in the UFC, everything can change overnight.